Okay, so there is our preview, and this is keyframes 11 through the last one, and you can already see the damage that that far plane did to my animation. So my fault. I don't know if it's my fault or not. I think it's Mandelbulb3D's fault. For whatever reason, they modify that far plane value, and it always happens when you bring it down from a keyframe through main and over, which is the only way you can do it. You cannot bring a keyframe directly into the navigator. All right, so anyway, the far plane messed up. Now, I don't want this. See, I don't want this. I want my distance objects to be rendered so that it gives the viewer a sense of depth. Oh, look at that. You know, there's objects way, 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 way out there. I don't want them just to have empty space out there. Well, I mean, I could. It would be okay if that's what I want. But I want my viewers to have reference, visual activity. Now the other thing here that we're missing here is those ground objects that I was saying, look, let's fly over them. All right, so we're missing that. So what happened to them? Okay, so there's two things that we need to correct here. First of all, fix this far plane, and then secondly, to figure out why these what we need to do to get these three animation moves to give me the effect that I want. Okay, so that's what we got two things to fix here. We're gonna fix number one. I'm just gonna go ahead and exit this. All right, and I don't need these frames anymore. I really don't. Now, I'm kind of wondering, as I'm sure you are, is there a way to put that far plane value on all of the keyframes? All right, like we did when we were modifying the shadows. Okay, let's see. Subframes, this is all quality related. No, there is no far plane. No, there's no far plane. All right, so what we can say is this, that this value down here, this far plane, once you create a keyframe, there is limited number of ways to fix that. Now, there's two ways to fix that I can think of. It's definitely not with the processing's window. So we'll just go ahead and close that. That's not going to help us at all. Two ways to fix it. Way number one is I delete these three frames and I start over. I start over on that animation sequence. All right, I don't start over with all of that, just with that one sequence, which since I've documented, it's no big deal. Three, I'll throw it away, not a problem. As a matter of fact, these keyframes don't work for me anyway because I don't have that base Mandelbulb object. But since we're here, another way to fix this is to, all right, this is method number 2, to fix the far plane in these three keyframes in this case. What I can do is I can bring it down to main. I'm going to render it just so you can see it. And there we go. I only rendered it because so you can see it. I don't have to render it here. But now what I do is I pull it back over to my navigator. And now look at that. Now it's 1405.4. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but that's the way it is. Now what I can do is I can override that right now. 9940. So now you can see my scene is already better. Now, a lot of times I keep telling you, be careful here that when you push a keyframe up this way, you want to make sure you're on a blank keyframe, but not in this case. In this case, you want to push that keyframe right on top of and overwrite, in this case, frame 11, keyframe 11. That's what we're going to do. We're going to push it right up there. All right, and that skipped over. All right, and it automatically positioned me on keyframe 12, which is fantastic. All right, now pull that down. And I was saying before, you don't have to calculate this. You don't have to, because the parameters have already been moved into main, and I can just pull them right over. Watch my navigator now. That scene's going to change. You see? And now look at my far plane. I'm going to put that back to 9940, and I'm going to push it back up to and overwrite keyframe 12. Boom. All right, now I'm on keyframe 13 because it automatically went to the next keyframe as it was told to do. I'm going to pull that down into main. I don't have to calculate it. Pull the parameter over. Look at my far plane, 9940, overwrite it, push it back up. All right. So now I have the far plane that has been modified, but I had to do it on each keyframe basis. But let's take a look at this keyframe. I'm not liking what I see right here. So I'm going to pull that one down into my main, calculate. All right. I'm just not liking this. I don't like this. I don't think I can get a far plane any better than that. So I think what's happened here in my diving, I've actually my Mandelbulb scene is so big that the Mandelbulb 3D doesn't have the ability to render objects way out here. I mean, it's starting to, it's trying, all right, but my scene is so big that even my far plane is not enough. Let's prove that. Let's pull the parameters over to the navigator. Let's see, can I put a far plane in there of 50,000? 1, 2, 3, 50,000. That's better. That's better. Can I put a far plane of 100,000? Nope, that's about it. You see, it looks about the same. All right, how about if I put a far plane of, let's see, all right, let's just do 10,000. Nope. Let's do 50,000. Okay, that's better. Now, because this is a low resolution, what I can do is I can push this back over to main so that I can get a better detail. Remember this now. All right, all of this stuff down in here, that's this stuff down in here. So 50,000 is actually a better far plane for me. Let's push it over to main and we'll test it. Well, okay, it's better, but here's what's happened here. With a 50,000 far plane value, the Mandelbulb 3D software still has a limit to what it can render on the screen, and it's hit its limit by all of this noise here. The Mandelbulb 3D software is just simply not able to render any of this area here to any detail. All right? All right. So here's what I conclude from this. That animation move, or I should say animation sequence, it's just not going to work. You know, like I've said before, you have to move to find out if the move is going to be any good. That's the nature of the beast. In this particular case, my little diving idea, I basically pointed the camera to an area of the fractal that the Mandelbulb 3D doesn't have the horsepower to be able to render. And so therefore, these 3 keyframes are trash. They're not going to work. That did not work for me. All right, so what do I do about it? Here's what I do about it. I throw the documentation away, and I throw these 3 keyframes away. All right, done, done, done. All right, get myself on the last keyframe. I'll render it, calculate it just to show it. Pull it over to the navigator and start over. And we'll start over with our continuing animation sequence in the next session. I'll see you there.